So you're shopping around for the best pro controllers for your PC. And these two at some point have caught your eye. The Xbox Elite Series 2 and the Victrix Pro BFG. As an avid gamer, I've tested both of these controllers extensively and they both really do perform, but which one is better and which one is worth your money? This is David, your casual nerd. Let's go ahead and check them out. But we're going to be using a point system to determine which controller is better. The round topics are price, comfort, build quality, the overall features, the compatibility, and of course, the battery life. And as a bonus, we'll talk about the overall negatives that I had with each controller. This really won't impact the points, but it'll help you guys make a buying purchase. First round, let's talk about the easiest topic, the price. The Elite 2 goes for $179.99 retail, but this actually turns into an advantage shortly. Meanwhile, the Pro BFG retails for the exact same price at $179.99. Oh man, what did we do? Although we do have the same result here, this is still an easy tiebreaker to determine. Simply, the Elite Series 2 has been out for a lot longer and has way deeper discounts all year round. Not only that, but you also have the option of the Elite Core controller, which retails for $129.99. It's the same controller for the most part, but doesn't include any of the extra accessories that the Elite 2 comes with. So I think it's safe to say that the Series 2 wins this round. The next round, we're going to be talking about comfort. So how I graded this is I played a series of 3 types of games: Elden Ring, Black Ops 6, and Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. I feel like this range covers most bases: a single player game, an FPS, and a third-person shooter. I would have tossed in a fighter game, but I am complete dog water at them, so I'm just sticking to the stuff I know. The Elite 2 was very good in each one of these games except for Black Ops 6. Due to the heavier type of materials, I feel like the thumbsticks drag rather than be snappy. Changing out the sticks did help a little bit, but it got kind of frustrating when playing PvP matches where the snappiness was needed the most. I do like the placement of the back buttons of the Elite 2 more though. It's more out of the way rather than being directly a part of your grip. But moving on to the Pro BFG, this controller felt so good to play with. It felt light in the hands all while feeling full, so I had a solid grip the whole entire time. If we compare the weights, we can see that the Pro BFG weighed about 50 grams less, which is pretty huge in terms of controllers. Also, the adjustability of the modules let me adjust my grip if I feel like it. So the winner of this round goes to the Pro BFG. The overall balance in the hand is better than the Elite 2 in my opinion, and you really feel the weight of the Elite 2 over time. And don't get me wrong, I do love the premium materials, but I constantly wanted to use a Pro BFG when it came down to games that required more responsiveness. So this round goes to the Pro BFG. So moving on to the next topic, let's talk about the build quality of these controllers. So how I graded this section was I basically took the quality of the materials and also the repairability into account. If you're paying for these controllers, you gotta definitely feel something whenever you're holding them. And equally important is the repairability path for each one of these controllers. They should be consumer friendly enough for us to fix them at home, especially since nowadays so many controllers are prone to stick drift. So first controller off, let's start off with the Series 2. So the Series 2 is notorious for having its parts fail and fail fast, and also randomly. After owning this controller for about a year, I can thankfully say that I have a pretty decent copy, but I have noticed that my right bumper whenever I'm playing Space Marine 2 starts to activate out of nowhere. But what's weird is that it doesn't really do that on any other kind of game, so it must have to do with the game itself. But aside from that, the Elite 2, in terms of the looks, it definitely wins in this category. You're gonna feel like you have something of super high quality, and that's exactly what you want with a Pro controller. They did a great job with this design, and also those parts that come with it. Some of it is really nice metal and it really adds to the overall package. But the one big negative in this category especially is that repairability path, because this controller has basically none. If you want to be one of those people who pull apart the controller and waive the warranty and just start tinkering with it, by all means go ahead. But your only other option is to really send this over to Xbox for them to repair, and they could repair it, or they could just send you another controller, or it's really just up to Xbox. Now the Pro BFG, on the other hand, has great repairability path. You can take apart these modules, take them out of the controller themselves, and they even have a Hall Effects module, which I really do want to try one day. So it's a great feeling whenever you're handling this controller. You don't feel like you need to baby it like you do the Series 2. But with that being said, this controller has the total opposite feeling of whenever you unbox this. Upon first impression, all you feel on this controller is just plastic. But I will say that the plastic does feel of high quality. It's not like a cheap kind of plastic. So this one was a little bit of a closer race, but overall, I think the winner has to be the Pro BFG because of its repairability path. And the feeling of the controller itself is solid. It's not like a cheap piece of plastic. So overall, I think that this one wins the round. Next, we're gonna talk about the overall features of each controller. How I'm rating this category is by how many useful features there are for the gamer. Sometimes companies pump all these features into a product where they're more likely to fail or we're just not gonna use it. So the Elite 2 doesn't come with any fluff. It's a controller that knows what it is and it isn't something it's not. It's the Xbox Core controller with a fancy facelift and some nice accessories. The back buttons, profile switching, and adjustable triggers are about as fancy as it gets. And moving on to the Pro BFG, it has a laundry list of features. But are they all useful? This controller has everything that the Series 2 has. Adjustable triggers, back buttons, swappable thumbsticks, and D-pad. But to set it apart, it comes with swappable modules, Dolby Atmos spatial audio if you're going to use a headset with this controller, and overall the customizability is way better than the Series 2. Not only are the additional features useful, they really make this controller stand out, and that's why I'm giving the round to the Pro BFG. So the next round is compatibility, and how I graded this one was using the apps on the PC, seeing which one was better, but I really wanted to see which controller did the best in terms of gaming and interfacing with Steam, which is pretty much what most PC users like to use. So if you watch my video where I did grade the Series 2 against the DualSense Edge controller, I found that the Series 2 was the best controller in that situation because the DualSense Edge just had so many problems and issues, and I'm sure it's a lot better now, but back in that time it was just horrendous. So in this scenario, which one does better? So first one we'll talk about is the Series 2. It integrates perfectly well with Steam. You can customize all the features of the buttons that you want and also the profiles. It's a very clean app to use and I didn't really find any kind of problems with this. So next we'll talk about the Pro BFG controller. With this one, I had a little bit of problems with it. For one, when you download the app and you have to download it on the Victrix website, it is a little bit wonky. Navigating the menus felt a little bit cumbersome and it wasn't sleek like the Xbox One. It did have all the remappable features and also more customization than the Xbox One, but the overall layout I really didn't like at all. You can see that it pairs and connects right away just like the Series 2, and if we press the Xbox button, as you can see on my PC back there, it interfaces with that well. But where this controller gets a little bit iffy is when you start programming it in the app and you take it over to the Steam launcher and launch your game. That profile does not save onto the controller and you have to just fidget with it a little bit more. And if I do go into the Steam controller settings, you can see that the Pro BFG does register as normal Xbox One controller. But if you do go in with the Series 2 on, you can see that it registers as an Xbox One Elite 2 controller. So I do think that it does play into the wonkiness of the Pro BFG controller, but definitely the Series 2 takes this round, and for obvious reasons. All right, now on to the last round. Which one is gonna take it? So the last round is battery life, and I know that this topic is super important for people. And we've all been there with that intense gaming session. You end the night and then you forget to charge your controller. So which one is gonna be helpful in those situations? Which one's gonna last you a longer time? So first controller up, we'll talk about the Series 2. So the Series 2 has a 2050 milliamp hour battery, and Xbox says that you can get up to 40 hours with this battery life. Now, in my personal experience and in my own personal testing, I have found that 38 to 40 hours is what I typically get with this controller. So it's good to know that Xbox is ranging this battery life pretty accurately. So on the other hand, we have the Pro BFG, and this one does have a very similar battery capacity at 2000 milliamp hours, but according to Victrix, you're only getting 20 hours of battery life. So really I found myself getting about 2 to 3 days of battery life, and it really equated to around 18 hours of battery life, which I found really funny because the milliamp hours is almost exactly the same. One of the biggest factors that I noticed right away is that this controller does vibrate a lot more than the Series 2. And I'm pretty sure there are more factors that go into that battery life, but it wasn't anything else that I experienced. That this is pretty much a clear-cut winner, and the Series 2 is taking this category. Before I go to the final verdict, I just want to talk about a couple of negatives that I had with each controller. Who knows, these might actually sway you from one controller to the next. Let's start off with the Pro BFG's back buttons. I for one am not a fan of back buttons when it comes to these Pro controllers, and I can already see the comments now. I don't know what it is, but my brain just doesn't register any of those buttons whenever I'm in a panic type of situation, especially on Black Ops 6. So with this in mind, using the Pro BFG, I've come to notice that the back buttons are way too easy to press. They're non-removable unlike the Series 2, and they're also more embedded into the grip, so pressing these accidentally is just a common occurrence. Thankfully, you can deactivate them in the software, and that's just what I did. Now moving on to the Series 2, and there's only one real negative here. The Series 2 has multiple reports of buttons and sticks getting busted after a certain amount of time. Non-stop comments about this on my other videos where I talk about this controller, and it's a huge problem in the QC. The fact that a customer can't just simply replace their sticks really shows how behind Xbox is on this front. So I only had one really big issue with each one of these controllers. Hopefully it'll help you guys see what my final verdict is. So if you guys were counting, interestingly enough, we do have a tie. But I'm not going to cop out here and say that both controllers are the same. We're definitely going to pick a winner. So between these two, which one am I going to pick? And the controller that I kept reaching for the most was the Victrix Pro BFG controller. It felt more natural, the weight was nice but not being too heavy, and although it was pretty neck and neck in some of the rounds with the Series 2, I felt like the ones that where this one pulls away, it pulled away hard. So although this battle was close, I'm picking the Victrix Pro BFG controller. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Did I get this take right? Or are there other opinions where you do think that the Series 2 is better? Let me know. Watch this next video if you're interested in a comparison between the Series 2 and the DualSense Edge. If you guys are looking for PC controllers, this is a pretty good video. But I want to thank you guys for watching. This is David serving you a little side of tech, and I'll see you in the next video. God bless you guys.